Hey friend, this is Phillip Mason with Incredible Fathers. Thank you for being here again with me today. I want to talk a little bit about the principle of forgiveness. It's an incredibly powerful principle when put into motion, and it's something that can ultimately be life-changing. We all have to change. We all have to extend forgiveness, and it's something that if we send it out to someone else, it'll return back to us again. So if we're willing to forgive others, others will be able to forgive us. So it becomes a very important principle if we're going to function and be healthy and happy as families and operating in society, especially in a very cantankerous and overexcited society that we live in, where there's a lot of backbiting and fighting and negative comments. It's really important for us to be kind and forgiving. And so I want to talk about that a little bit today. So I'm going to share with you a story about my great-grandfather. His name is Ward Holbrook, and he had a great life. He had a good family, but he had a tragedy in his life, and that had to do with his son, Phil. Phil was a very bright young man and did very well in high school, and his father was very excited for him, as you can imagine. And he was hopeful that his son would be able to jump into college and be able to get started on a career and build his own family, and the future just seemed really exciting for him. Unfortunately, at this time, World War II was just coming on, and Phil got drafted into the military. His father wanted him to enlist into officers training school, but Phil thought his reasoning was, I'm just going to enlist as a soldier. I just want to get over there, get back so I can get on with my studies and my schooling and get on with life. Well, so Phil enrolled, he was in the Army, and he was among those forces that were sent to the South Pacific Islands. So on the island of Okinawa, landed with the other men, and while he was storming the beach, he was hit by a bullet and killed. This was absolutely devastating to Ward Holbrook, to have his son Phil killed at the tender age of 19. And after he got news of his son's death, he held a lot of bitterness and resentfulness in his heart towards the Japanese people for killing his son. And he was very angry at them for starting this war, and very angry at them for causing so much bloodshed. And he held that resentfulness in him. Now, Ward Holbrook, being a man of faith, a man of God, he realized that this bitterness, this anger that he felt towards the Japanese was not healthy and it was not good. And he knew that he needed to change his heart and mindset. So in seeking inspiration, he did something that I think is really remarkable. He actually went out, and he and his wife, they went out and they adopted two Japanese children and brought them into their home and raised them as their own and loved them as their own, and were just very good to them. And that process of healing these two Japanese children that they adopted totally softened his heart. And as he loved these two children and nurtured them and helped them grow up, it healed his heart. And where it was broken, it was now mended. So he went through that process of forgiveness where he was able to bring himself to forgive the Japanese people. And he showed that by adopting two Japanese children and raising them to adulthood. Now, I had the privilege of meeting these two children that he had raised. Of course, when I met them, they were already grown and had families of their own. When I got to meet them, it was actually at my grandma Mason's funeral, which she's a Holbrook. This story is about her dad. And so at her funeral, I got to meet her adopted brother and sister who were Japanese. And that was really a neat moment for me, as I got to realize the tremendous faith that my grandfather had and his willingness to forgive and to forget and to reconcile and to move on. And what an important skill and what an important lesson for our family that he taught us. And I'm just so very thankful for his example that he gave. My challenge for you is to think about in your life, just kind of review some of those things in your life that maybe are not in harmony with what you see yourself becoming or what you think God might want you to become, and just review your life. Maybe it's reviewing your journal. Maybe it's going through and talking with someone that you trust and love who knows you, and being able to think about what's happened in the past, that perhaps where you need some healing, and be willing to reach out to others and to forgive them. Maybe it's like my grandfather's situation, where he kind of held his grudge against the entire Japanese nation. And so he realized that he just needed to change his heart. He needed to ask for forgiveness from God and be able to see all of God's children in the same light. Now that's a lot to overcome, and it's a lot to ask sometimes when we have to forgive others, especially people that have hurt us, have damaged us, or have affected us in a big way that's cost us a lot. That can be really hard. It can be very difficult to forgive others. But I want you to know that it can be done. And I'm going to just give you 2 simple ways to kind of help with that healing process, where you can get into a position and a mindset where you can forgive others. So the first one is to write. Writing is incredibly powerful at processing our thoughts. Most of us have all these thoughts and they never get processed. So get a piece of paper and a pen and write this out. If you don't already keep a journal, I'd recommend keeping a journal. It'd be a great place to kind of do an inventory of those places in your life where perhaps you need to extend some forgiveness, or maybe even ask for forgiveness too. It can go both ways, of course. So that's very powerful. You may also want to just shoot a video like I'm doing here. Go ahead and just get in front of a camera and just talk through something that's troubling you or bothering you, and then go back and watch it again and think about it, or share it with your spouse or a trusted confidant, and be able to just review that and come to a decision on what needs to be done. That can be very healing, very therapeutic. I highly recommend it. The other thing that I recommend, the second thing I recommend, is making a practice or a habit out of prayer. Some of the best fathers I know are men who pray, and they have a belief in God. And while their various religious beliefs may come from different backgrounds and from different tenets, they're all very keen on the idea that God is aware of them and He's willing to help them. So beginning to pray and make a habit of praying and asking for forgiveness, and then also being willing to have God change your heart so that you're able to extend forgiveness to others, can be a very powerful thing for you, and that it will materialize and you'll actually see that happen in your life, and that your heart and your mind will change in such a way that you'll have a desire to go out there and be able to forgive. So those are 2 just very simple things, but they're incredibly powerful. They're tools that get used all the time by people all over the earth. And I know that if you want to be an excellent husband, an excellent father, an excellent citizen in your community, an excellent employee in the workplace, or an excellent entrepreneur running your own business, whatever your situation is, whatever the situation may be where you need to extend forgiveness, go and do it. Find a way to do it, and do it in a very proactive way. I actually just had a personal experience where I was reflecting on some of my professional experience, and I realized that I had a situation where I needed to go and to apologize to someone, and I actually just did it recently. I actually did it by writing a letter. I wrote a letter to them and sent it to them. We're no longer working together in the same facility anymore, the same company anymore, but I sent that letter to that individual, and they reached back out to me, and we chatted by text. And so it was good to kind of have that connection again and let them know that I really didn't feel like my behavior was what it should have been, and to ask for their forgiveness in that situation. So be thinking about this, think about how you can apply it. I know that you can do this. There's just tremendous power that can flow into your life once you make that decision to extend forgiveness, and maybe it is also that you need to ask for forgiveness too. But this is my challenge, and I leave it with you, and I'm just so thankful that we've had this time together, and I look forward to visiting with you on our next video.